Shabbat Shalom. This is the third week in the Hebrew month of Cheshvan, and we are so thrilled to welcome our Lewis University students here to this evening. All of us comes to our sanctuary with a different need. Some of us come to seek solace during a time of mourning or grief. Others come to socialize and be a part of the community. Some of us come because tomorrow she will become a bat mitzvah. Others come to fulfill requirements. Some come because their family is here. Whatever our reason for being here this evening, let us take a moment to breathe in the peace and the joy of Shabbat, to clear our minds, and to welcome this sacred and holy time. We come now to Shabbat, our time of joy, of rest, and of peace, and we begin our service with the singing of a nigun, which is a song that has no words. It is my pleasure at this time to sanctify our Shabbat candles, to invite forward Joyce Bogalub.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvoto, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbos. Amen.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. We continue on page 10 with the singing of Ma Yafeh Hayom. We continue with Chatzi Kaddish, which can be found in our prayer book on page 26. continue on page 28 with Baruch Hu. Will the congregation please rise? Please be seated. We continue with the Hebrew on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach she'arim uvitvuna mishane itim umachalif et hazmanim umisader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem berakia kirtzono Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We continue on the top of page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We continue with the Shema on page 35. Will the congregation please rise? Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Shem kevod malchuto leolam vaed. Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Please be seated. It is my pleasure to invite to the Bima at this time to lead us in Via Hafta, Eva Pena.
Be'afta et Adonai Eloha b'chol lavav u'pol nafsheha u'pol meodeha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohi mitzvah beha hayom alevaveha v'shinatam levaneha v'dibartam bam v'shiteha v'reteha uleteha b'derek u'shakreha u'kumeha u'shatam leod al yadeha v'hayu letotafot minyaneha Ani Adonai Elohim Asher Oseti Etem Meretz Mitzrayim Leot Lahem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohim. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say Adonai. There is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May each reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered at Sinai. We bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets, instructed by sages, time and again we overcome our forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be born at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
We continue on the top of page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, Hapurei Sukkot Shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei Oneg Shabbat, Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei Oneg Shabbat, Mekadeshei Shevi Shabbat, Kolam Yismehu, V'yitangu B'tuvika Shabbat, Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei Oneg Shabbat, Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei Oneg Shabbat. We come now to our congregational tefillah, which can be found in our prayer book on page 46. Will the congregation please rise? Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi agi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei metim atah, Rav leHoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei metim berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato lishenei afar. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hametim. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chu yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Will the congregation please be seated? We continue on the top of page 55. Let's read responsively. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle, may all who suffer find solace. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. We continue on the top of page 59. Let's read together. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. We continue on page 60 with the singing of Shalom Rav, followed by silent meditation. We come now to Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for the reading of the Torah, which can be found in our prayer book on page 244. We continue on page 247. In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it. Gadlu la Adonai iti, un romama shemo yachdav. Exalt Adonai with me. Let us extol God's name together. When I was a young rabbi, many, many years ago, I assigned this week's Torah portion, Vayera, to a bar mitzvah student, not realizing that in the book of Exodus, there is another Torah portion that you just drop the Y out of Vayera, and it's Va'ira. So I gave the bar mitzvah student the Torah portion from Exodus. Yeah, I know, heavy gasp, sigh, you know. So about 3 weeks before the bar mitzvah, Rabbi Bob heard the speech of this poor bar mitzvah student and came to me and said, Rabbi, you gave the wrong Torah portion to this student. And I said, oh. So I wrote a bar mitzvah speech that year. But this week's Torah portion, I checked, it's in Genesis. Just so you know, the young gentleman who's going to come up and read Torah tonight had this Torah portion last year, and the office sent him the Exodus Torah portion. So it's not hard to do. The good news is he's going to read from the Torah, from this Torah portion, don't worry, but he had like 5 minutes of panic when he saw it and said, no worries, no pressure either, Zach, but anyway, I digress. Our Torah portion for this week, I promise, begins with Abraham and his story of incredible kindness to the 3 angels or messengers that he sees walking through the wilderness. And the angels are actually there to deliver a message to Abraham's wife, Sarah, that she is going to miraculously give birth to their first child within the year. And this is a miraculous thing because Sarah's 90 years old and Abraham is 100 years old. So it's pretty miraculous. And after this, 2 of the angels that were messengers to Abraham actually go to the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, and they let Abraham's nephew Lot know that they are going to be destroyed. And Lot and Abraham beseeches God and says, if we can find 50 righteous people, would you not destroy these cities? God said, okay. They go through a little bargaining match, and Abraham gets God down to 10. If we can find 10 righteous people, please don't destroy the cities. God said, okay, which is why, in order to have a prayer service, we have to have 10 righteous Jewish people, 10 Jewish adults. It comes from this week's Torah portion. So this idea of minyan is found in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, but unfortunately for the inhabitants, they couldn't even find 10 righteous people, so those cities were destroyed. You can follow along with Zach reading the correct Torah portion, I promise, in your Etz Chaim commentaries, the large maroon books that are found between your seats, starting on page 121. Ya'amod Yisrael ben Nechama likro haTorah, ta'amod Esther bat Reuven va'Asherah la'aliyah haTorah. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. Amen.
Vayahi ahare hadvarim ha'ela vayugad la'Avraham lemor hine yilda melka Gamhi banim lenahor ahiha et ut behoro vet buz ahiv vet kumuel avo aram vet kesed vet hazo vet pildash vet yidlaf vet betuel uvtuel yalad et rivka shemona ela yilda melka lenahor ahi Avraham ufilag sho ushma reuma V'telad gam hi et v'tuel avet gam vet tehash vet ma'aha.
Amen. At this time in our worship service, our thoughts turn to those of our community and families who are ill and in need of healing. We think this evening of Aaron Alcock, Norm Block, Don Edgren, Randy Taylor, Joyce Fishman, Vince Rochelle, and all others who suffer whom we know not by name. Misha Berach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, V'Yaakov, Ve'imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, V'Leah, Hu Yivarech V'Rapeh et Kol Cholei Yisrael, Vayishlach Lahem Bimheira, Refuah Shlema, Refuah Nefesh, Refuah Guf, and Omar. Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all who are stricken. May the Holy One of Praise mercifully restore them to health and to vigor. May God grant them health of body, health of spirit, and of mind. And let us say, Amen.
The B'nai Mitzvah process starts about a year in advance of a student's date, even though the students really don't start meeting with me until 6 or 7 months prior to that time. The families begin to wake up to the fact that this is really happening because their sons or daughters can start signing in for their 13 required services a year before their date. Tonight, we have a special opportunity to publicly begin one person's B'nai Mitzvah journey and to watch veterans pass along their knowledge. So it's my pleasure to invite Mia Herman and Ava Penna to the Bima to join Zach and myself. Zach, we stand here together with Ava, who tomorrow will become a bat mitzvah. As you pass this prayer book to Mia to use over the next year and hopefully beyond that, we know that she will become more familiar with the service in preparation for her big day next year. And after the service, Zach and Ava, you can show Mia where to sign in to get her every service credit she needs. Ava, I wish you luck tomorrow. I know you'll do great. Mazel tov to all of you as we pass this prayer book together to Mia.
And now we have 3 years of students who share the Torah portion, but I'm going to open it up. I'm going to say anybody who has not only Vayera, but maybe even Vayira from Exodus, and let's just throw in Ha'azinu from Deuteronomy too, right? Anyone who has those 3 B'nai Mitzvah can come up, can come forward, because we link tradition and Torah together, building and strengthening our Jewish community. So, anyone else here has had Vayera as their Torah portion? No other Vayeras? Okay. Well, then I'm just going to bless these 3 at this time, and I ask everyone to please rise for a blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha, Vaikuneka, Yisa Adonai, Panav elecha, Vayasem lecha shalom, Vayasem lecha shalom. May God's countenance be lifted up unto you and grant you the most precious gift of peace. And let us say together, Amen. Ya'amod Ruvain ben Avraham v'Sara Hagba, Ta'amod Asherah bat Avraham v'Sara Golelet. Please be seated. The prayer for the state of Israel can be found in our prayer book on page 259. It is my pleasure to invite forward Larry Herman to lead us in that prayer. Page 259 at the bottom of the page.
O Heavenly One, I got the right. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen.
Our service continues on page 256 as we rise to return the Torah to the ark. Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado. Let us praise the name of Adonai, for God's name alone is exalted.
God's majesty is above the earth and heaven, and God is the strength of our people, making God's faithful ones, Israel, a people close to the eternal. Hallelujah. Please be seated. This week's Torah portion is fun because it's connected to last week's Torah portion. If you were here to listen to Sam read the Maftir, you would know that last week's Torah portion ends with Abraham circumcising every male member in his midst. Now remember that Abraham himself was 100 years old, and I reminded everyone last week that anesthesia was not invented until the 1800s, so this was serious commitment. And when the Torah portion opens this week, we have Abraham in his tent looking out in all directions 3 days post-surgery. So we know that Abraham not only was convalescing himself, but was very committed to this concept of hospitality, because he was sitting in an open tent in the heat of the day, in pain, but still looking for visitors. That's how seriously Abraham took the commitment to be of service to others. Now, the Baal Shem Tov, who was the founder of modern Hasidic Judaism, said that the way to achieve a love of God is to serve others, that love is a verb, and the way we show love is by doing service. And through this doing of service, hospitality to strangers, Abraham reached God. Socrates said that the unexamined life is not worth living. And while this may be true, we understand that we have to examine our own lives, but after the examination of our own lives, we have to take action to do something as a result of that action. We can't just continually sit and contemplate our navels. And so, this Torah portion shows us what we're supposed to do after we examine our lives. We are to repair that which needs to be repaired and to help others when we can do so. Through the process of being of service, we show our love for God. And putting ourselves and our own desires second, we elevate our present circumstances, even if we're in physical pain, as was Abraham, into something bigger than we could otherwise be on our own. It reminds me of a story about the days when ice cream cost a lot less. And the boy entered a soda fountain and sat at a table. The waitress put a glass of water in front of him, and he asked, "How much is an ice cream sundae?" 50 cents, replied the waitress. The little boy put his hand into his pocket, he pulled it out, and he studied the number of coins in his hand for a moment, and he asked, "How much is a dish of plain ice cream?" Now, people were starting to wait for a table, and the waitress was starting to grow impatient with this young boy. And she said 35 cents, kind of angrily, and she was a little rash with him. And again, the boy counted the coins, and he said, "I'll have the plain ice cream." The waitress brought the ice cream. She plopped it down on the table in front of him, and she walked away. The young boy ate his dish of ice cream. He paid the cashier, and he departed. And when the waitress came back to the table, she swallowed hard at what she saw. There, placed beneath the empty dish, were 2 nickels and 5 pennies, her tip. He could have had the ice cream sundae, but instead he chose to leave the waitress a tip by just having the ice cream. And may the example of the young boy and the story of Abraham remind us to serve others despite our present circumstances. May we be given the strength to put others' needs before ours, so that through our actions, love can flow, and we can continue to bless others as we go forward. Shabbat Shalom.
To
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Joel Spenadel, and I'm representing the Board of Directors tonight. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our congregants and guests who are joining us this evening, and I'd like to welcome specifically our guests from Lewis University and thank Kathy Bender for being their docent. I'd like to share with you a couple of announcements. Don't forget, tomorrow morning is Torah study with Rabbi Camel at 9 a.m. Beginning next Friday, November 2nd at noon, please join Rabbi Koznowski for the first of 4 lunchtime learning sessions on Reformed Jewish views of the afterlife. This is a follow-up series from her last year's Foundation Sunday morning learning program that left lots of people wanting more. Am I allowed to ditch work to go? Yes? Good. And if you haven't already marked your calendar, do it now, because next Sunday, November 4th, is the Gary Gardner Memorial Bowls for Hunger. Now, this Empty Bowls event is in memory of Gary Gardner, and for those of you who don't know, and indulge me a second because I'm going off script, Gary served as a vice president and served the Social Action Committee as vice president when I was treasurer in my first term of exec. And he also served humanity by being a pediatrician, including to my 2 kids. So Gary was truly embodied the service mantra to his fellow human beings. And this event, which begins at 11:30, and for a $12 donation or $3 for kids, you'll get a delicious bowl of soup, bread, a drink, and a ceramic keepsake bowl. If we get the bowls out of my basement, they're in the boxes. We're going to get them out, I promise. So the purpose of this is to help stamp out hunger in DuPage County. All proceeds will benefit food pantries in the DuPage County area. I want to thank Greg Zellman and the choir for tonight's music, to Zach Gilbert for returning tonight to read Torah, Yasher Koach, Zach, and to Laura Birnbaum for ushering and Rachel Wood for being our greeter. Tonight's Oneg is being sponsored by the Pena family in honor of Ava becoming a bat mitzvah tomorrow. Mazel tov, you'll do great. Next Friday night's Shabbat service will be at 8:15 and will be led by members of the senior youth group. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, wait, one more announcement since Reuben is here. Indulge me further. This is in your honor. On Sunday, November 11th at 11:45, come watch Da Bears with the Brotherhood at Etz Chaim. Shabbat Shalom.
As we prepare to begin our concluding prayers, it is my pleasure to invite Langston Hayes to the Bima to open our ark. We continue with Aleinu on page 282. Will the congregation please rise?
We continue on the top of page 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Let's read together. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. At this time in our worship service, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth and whose yahrzeit we commemorate this Shabbat. We remember with love Mary Jo Thompson, Israel Nadler, Arthur Scherer, Louis Kaplan, Anna Lux, Annabelle Perlman, Alvin Schumann, Henry Mindell, Gabriella Miller, Frank Serrata, Henry Levy, Edward Ross, Paul Spenedel, and Eli Mandel. We also mourn the recent passing of Harvey Zoll, friend of Congregation Etz Chaim. If anyone here is commemorating a yahrzeit and would care to say that person's name aloud, please feel free to do so as my hand passes over the congregation. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as together we recite Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found in our prayer book on page 294. Will the congregation please rise? Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, b'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, Ba'agalalu vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach leolam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela minkol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Our closing song this evening, Tov Lahodot, can be found in our prayer book on page 184.
On this holy Shabbat, may we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, and worth in our study of Torah. May we draw near to life, to peace, and to joy. Shabbat Shalom.